Hi guys, welcome back to my channel where the gnomes live. This is Sharon Oyella, and if you're new here, I am currently building a very large gnome home, or it could also be used as a fairy home. And today's video is about these tiles in here. So these tiles came about from a visit I did to Charles Dickens' house earlier this year. So if you go to my Instagram, and I'll put the link in the pinned comment below, right here on my profile page, there are some buttons, and these are all collections of posts I put together, mostly of my trip to Europe. And there's a lot of miniature inspiration to be found here, especially the Beamish Museum. Lots of inspiration to be found in that one. But we are looking for Charles Dickens today, and it's right there. So click on it. And the one with the table, lightly click, and then it'll say See Post. Click on that. And then you can scroll through. This is the bottom floor of his house. He has a 5-story house there.
It's turned into a museum. Wonderful place to visit.
And right at the very end, I believe they washed clothes in this room. It's just a small room. Most of the tiles are missing. But if you look here, this one tile is the tile that I fell in love with. The color and everything and the edged look of it. I thought to myself when I was standing there, I'm going to recreate this in my gnome home. So that's what I did. Because it's so difficult to actually see inside this little nook here because of the lighting and everything, I'm going to put a picture up of the floor beside Charles Dickens' floor. And you can see how wonderful it actually turned out. It is beautiful in person, a little bit hard to pick up on video. For the main color, I used burnt sienna. I did use some burnt umber and some black, some beige. And to tone down the burnt sienna, I did start using some orange spice. And then to get the shine on top of the tile, I'm using a Varathane. This is a water-based satin finish. You can use any sealer of your choice. So I did use paper cup trays to make this tile. You can do the exact same floor using egg cartons or these seed starter peat pots you can get in your plant store or home hardware store. They're only a couple of dollars for a package of like 50. So we're going to get started now. In the next clip, I'm working with the paper cup trays. If you would like to skip to the start of the floor using these little peat pots, use the pin comment below and look for the timestamps. I hope you enjoy the video, and we'll see you at the end. Alright guys, I just want to show you the paper cup trays really quick because there are different styles, and the ones that you want to use if you're going to use paper cup trays are the ones with the less texture on them, okay? So it depends on where you get them from. The ones that I used are these ones right here. I used 3 of them, and you can see there isn't much texture on the cup part itself, but I'll show you the other one here, which makes beautiful stones, by the way, has a lot more texture. Alright, so let's get some tiles made here. I used 3 trays like I said, and these are the small ones, and I still got 41-inch squares look like this. So I'm just going to pull the middle section off. Then I can go around the cup part and just tear along as close as I can get to the top edge. So it'll give me more surface to work with. And then I'm going to use a ruler. I'm not going to measure these perfectly. I'm just going to eye it up and cut a 1-inch square. And then I'm going to use the piece that I just cut here as a template to cut the rest. And again, they're not perfect. And if you want perfect, then you're going to have to use a ruler and an X-Acto blade and all that. But I just did it this way and it went very quickly. And I kept going this way until I had about 40 of those 1-inch squares. But over here on my seed starter kit thing are 2.5 or 2.4 inch. I found if I just cut around the very bottoms, those gave me about 1 inch square as well. So I just had to cut the little imperfections off there and straighten up the sides. Before I lay my tiles down, I'm going to paint the background of this cardboard first, because you will see the background showing in between the tiles once the tiles are dry. And when I did the tree doll house before this floor here, I forgot this step. And once all the tiles were dry, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I was supposed to paint that. And you can use any color that you want, light or dark. Alright, so I painted that one brown, and I painted this one black. And once they're dry, the paint is dry, then you brush on some glue. I just do a smaller area at a time and get that glue spread out evenly, and you don't want too much because it'll ooze up in between your tiles. So I'm taking some off there. And then you just lay your tiles down. So the first row, I'm going to start somewhere in the middle of the floor. Leave a little bit of a gap between the tiles. And then the second row, you want to stagger them. So the second one begins underneath 2 tiles. You don't want to go directly underneath 1 tile, you go underneath 2. So from row 2 onwards, this is how you lay them down. And of course the edges, once you're done, you'll have to cut to fit all the edges around. And then you set it underneath a fan or just leave it to dry for an hour or so. You don't want those tiles slipping when you start painting. So I'm using burnt sienna, and to get the paint spread around evenly in the back of the tree dollhouse, I used water to help spread that paint out. Tiles are a little bit on the rougher side, so if you're painting into a room, add a little bit of water. It'll just make your life a little bit easier. So once that's dry, I take burnt umber, and I'm just going to go in between the tiles. This is how I fixed the tree dollhouse when I didn't paint the backgrounds. I just painted in between the tiles. But I found when I did that, it created a little bit of a shadow in between the tiles, and I really liked that effect. So I decided to do it even though I painted the background here. This helps the tiles stand out a little bit more from each other. And now I'm going to take some burnt sienna again in this feather brush, and I'm just going to go around and dab in some of the color to fill in some of the bare spots that I'm seeing here from the watered down paint. And I do like this effect because it's giving me more of an aged tile look, so I'm just dabbing it here and there. And because I was inspired by those aged tiles in Charles Dickens' house, I want to lighten up some of the tiles. So I'm using some tan or beige color here, doing the same thing, just dabbing it on here and there. And here's the tiles here. So I realize I'm not getting the exact look that I want. So what I'm going to do, I'm take some orange spice and see if that will give me the effect that I'm looking for. So I take that with my feather brush, and I started dabbing, but then I realized probably should just dry brush it on. And that seemed to give me the look that I wanted. So again, you guys can play around with the colors, and you can use all sorts of different colors. I did dab on some burnt umber and a little bit of black as well, just here and there, just to shadow out a few areas, what would be a heavy traffic area. The thing is, you don't want to have a solid color. And once the tiles were completely dry, I wanted to put some cracks in here. So you want to make sure those tiles are dried out completely, otherwise it won't work as well. So I'm just taking a sharp tool and I'm creating some cracks here and there. And then I dip my tool in a little bit of black paint, creating a bit of shadow here, and I'm also going to use some tan color or beige color paint and do the same thing. Just filling in a little bit here and there, just to give an aged, cracked look. And once everything was done, I did seal it in with the Varathanes, and it just gave the wonderful shine to my tiles, and I was very happy with that. And yeah, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Like I said earlier, play around with the colors. You don't have to do exactly what I was doing in this video because I'm trying to replicate a certain tile that inspired me. And if you find a color is not working, leave your project for a couple of hours and then come back with fresh eyes, because once paint dries, it has a different tone to it as well. Alright guys, in the next video, I'm going to be putting together this stone pathway. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and hit the little bell notification so you'll know exactly when I upload the next video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.